Good thing you haven't got any nephews and nieces.
What's that, Mrs. Bridges?
Time you take writing out your Christmas cards.
Oh, well, it's more of a hobby, really. Handwriting.
Yes, I know. It's your brother-in-law as usual, I suppose.
Yes, we've been exchanging seasonal greetings now for 15 years.
Oh, well, I think it's nice for a man to have a hobby. Especially a proper one as handwriting. Let me tell you, her ladyship could take a leaf out of your book. The menu she sends me down sometimes, I can't make head or tail of them.
Oh, well, the mistress of a household does have a great many duties to perform, Mrs. Bridges.
Oh, I know. I wasn't meaning to criticise Miss Grudson. It's just, I sometimes wonder whether she gets what she asks for.
Who on earth can that be? We're only expecting Mrs. Curbridge for tea. But that's not till 5.
Hello, Hudson. I'm early. I've got everyone on the hop.
Not at all, Mrs. Curbridge.
These lovely motor cars puts all our timing out. Thank you. Is Mother in?
She's in the morning room, madam. What does all this mean, Rose? I understood Mrs. Curbridge was simply coming for tea.
Oh, no, Mr. Hudson. There's been a change of plan.
But I have not been informed.
I know you haven't, Hudson. I only decided this morning. Help Thomas with the luggage, would you?
Hello, my darling.
Hello.
Very early.
Not only that, Mother dear, but I've come to stay. You don't mind, do you? Only Lawrence had to go and visit an aunt in Shropshire, and Christmas with Rose in Greenwich didn't seem much fun, so I thought we'd both come here. Oh, Lord, you're not doing your cards already, are you? I haven't given them a thought.
You mean Lawrence is staying in Shropshire over Christmas?
He may.
But you didn't go with him.
I didn't want to see his boring aunt.
It's your first Christmas together.
Oh, Mother, what does that matter? No doubt there'll be others. He did offer to take me, but I told him I preferred you and Papa. Aren't you pleased?
Oh, yes, of course.
If one has some prior warning of these things, one can make the necessary arrangements. As it is, the room needs airing. A good dust. And Brenda's cut her hand badly in a broken vase, so she can't manage it.
But don't look at me, Mr. Hudson. I don't even work here.
It's a nice room to come home to.
But it's beautiful. Thank you, darling.
Any jolly parties in store? Oh, the Londonderrys. Can I come?
Yes, of course you can.
Do you remember that other time after I came back from Germany? You all had such hopes for me, and I dashed them all by behaving disgracefully. Oh, what a long time ago that seems. Talking of disgrace, I had a lovely letter from James the other day. It was really happy for the first time, as if he'd got things right at last. Has he, do you think?
Yes, we had a very reassuring letter from Colonel Pitt saying how well he'd settled down. He said James is a great asset to the regimental polo team.
And Sarah?
Sarah? Well, she's at Southwold, as you know. She's being well taken care of.
Yes, I've no doubt.
Darling, you're not...
What? Oh, pregnant, you mean? No, Mamma, sorry.
Well, it is a bit soon. Shall we have some tea? Then we can have a lovely long talk before your father gets home and monopolizes you.
Oh, my goodness gracious me. Wherever did you get that from?
Well, I found it in the dicky of our motor car, Mrs. B.
Oh, for me?
What, to be disposed of as you think fit?
Oh, well, I don't know.
Well, they weren't needed at Greenwich, see, so I thought I'd find a good home for it. I mean, you're fond of animals, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. Very thoughtful of you, my boy. Very thoughtful indeed.
Now take up the sugar and tea.
I
take it
consider
slow.
you're taking advantage of my loyalties, Mr. Hudson.
And who taught you to use such long words, Rose?
Influence of a poet's household, eh, Rosie?
I don't care what it's the influence of. All I know is I'm being used. Where's Edward, for heaven's sake?
Haven't you heard about Edward? He got took in the night.
Took?
Yes, he was rushed off to the hospital last Friday with his appendix. I believe he's progressing quite satisfactorily.
Well, I don't know. Brenda cut her hand. It was taken off to hospital. Not a very lucky household, is it?
Oh, what about yours then, Rose, eh?
I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Bridges.
Oh, yes, you do. What's Miss Elizabeth doing here? What's been going on?
Now, Mrs. Bridges, you know better than to ask our Rose for any tittle-tattle.
I only want to know what we all want to know, Miss Hudson. Don't tell me your ears haven't been burning too.
Rose, get your coat off, take the tea up.
Oh, that's not fair, Mr. Hudson. Besides, I can't serve morning room tea dressed like this.
Our ladyship won't mind, just this one.
Here, I'll give you hand if you like, Rose.
Oh, I can manage.
You know, that girl is assuming far too much independence for her own good.
Maybe she has to, where she works now.
This your work, Mr. Hudson?
That's his hobby.
Handwriting?
I make a study of it, yes.
Oh, very nice. What sort of stuff do you write, apart from Christmas cards?
What do I write? Well, I copy out passages from the newspapers.
Copy? What's the point?
The point?
Yes, I mean other people's stuff. Why not something of your own? You know, a poem or your own thoughts.
Oh, he does write his daily journal, don't you, Mr. Hudson?
Oh, the tittle tattle, aye, well, that's a start, I suppose. You can always sell it if times get hard. I was only joking, Mr. Hudson.
Well, of course he was, Mr. Hudson. Where's your sense of humour?
Hello, Rose. What are you doing here?
Helping out, Mr. Bellamy.
Aren't you required in Greenwich?
Oh, Mrs. Curbridge is here, sir.
Oh, that's right. Of course she was coming to tea. My angel.
Hello, Papa.
Lovely to see you. And looking so bright, bright as a button. Hello, my dear.
Hello, darling. Lawrence has had to visit an aunt in Shropshire, so Elizabeth's come to stay. Isn't that nice?
That's wonderful.
That's too many frocks for a short visit. Mrs. Curbridge always takes a lot of frocks with her. You should have seen how many she took with her when she went on her honeymoon to Vienna, and that was only a fortnight.
There's no point in keeping up this pretense, Rose. I can put two and two together even if no one else can.
Yes, I'm sure you can, Miss Roberts, and that's just about the limit of your education.
How dare you talk to me like that?
Oh, I dare, all right, because we're on equal footing now, remember? I'm a lady's maid now, just like you.
Proper ladies' maids do not carry up trays to the morning room or dust the bedrooms.
Mr. Hudson, I was wondering, in view of your shortage of staff, whether I perhaps might lend a hand.
That won't be necessary, thank you, Mr. Watkins. We can manage.
We can't, not with half the staff took silk.
I could wait at table, Mr. Hudson. I'm not without experience, as Rose will vouch.
Oh, go on, Mr. Hudson. The boy's made a kind offer. Why don't you let him help you out?
Well, if her ladyship finds it acceptable, I suppose he may.
Oh, please, Miss Roberts.
Oh, who are you?
Me?
That's Mr. Watkins. He's Mr. Curbridge's manservant.
Oh, yes, I've heard about you.
Nothing bad, I hope.
Not yet. Are you staying too?
But why should he? Mr. Watkins is going to drive the motor car back to Greenwich after we've all had our dinner, aren't you, Mr. Watkins?
Elizabeth's had a letter from James, darling. She really thought he sounded happy, didn't you?
That's good. Has he fallen in love, do you think?
He didn't mention it.
Well, that's what he needs. Some nice young governess he can bring home as his bride.
Oh, Father, what a dreadful thing to wish on your son.
Not at all. All the best girls are going out to India as governesses. It's a wonderful opportunity for them.
Felicity Davenport.
Railton's daughter, Daphne.
Felicity landed a major.
Oh, good for Felicity. What did he weigh? Well, you do make him sound like a prized trout. What would James be? A sort of eel, perhaps?
And Lawrence. What would he be?
I think this is a silly game.
No, it isn't. It's illuminating. Lawrence. I think I see Lawrence as a place.
A place.
A place.
Why a place?
I don't know. I just see him as one.
I don't think that's very illuminating.
It is to me.
How's his poetry getting along? Has he written anything lately?
No, nothing.
Aren't you his inspiration?
Apparently not.
Oh, darling, one can't write poetry to order. Lawrence has a lot on his mind. Adjusting to married life.
Living in Greenwich.
What's wrong with Greenwich?
Nothing to you, but it stifles Lawrence.
Stifles him, why?
I thought I'd do some Christmas shopping tomorrow, darling. Would you like to come with me? We could give each other ideas like we used to. Do you remember? Choosing things for James and Papa.
I don't want to be little again, Mother.
I don't think your mother meant that you...
Yes, she did. She sees my marriage in ruins and she wants to protect me by making me little again. I don't want that.
What did you say?
Your marriage and...
In ruins? What on earth do you mean?
It's plain enough, haven't you guessed? I've given enough hints. What do you think I'm doing here?
Darling, please. Pas devant le domestique.
Ils savent bien la situation, tous les deux. So does Hudson now.
Do you mean what you say?
I'm sorry, Papa, yes.
For only 6 months, I can't believe it.
No, of course you can't believe it, Mamma. You don't want to believe it. You'll have to face the gossip and the sniggering of your friends. Can't you think beyond that? Can't you think of me for once? Don't cry, Miss Lizzie. Please don't cry. It's not as bad as you think. You've got it all out of front.
Don't you tell me, Rose.
Miss Lizzie?
And don't call me Miss Lizzie. I'm a married woman. Married, which is more than you'll ever be.
What?
At least I've tried. I've offered myself, but you've never offered yourself to anyone. So how can you give me advice?
I wasn't
You
trying
and
to.
Thomas, you think I didn't hear you late at night? Teasing him and then stopping. Let me tell you, Rose, that unless you're prepared to give yourself utterly and risk making a fool of yourself, you'll never get anything in life. You'll end up withered here inside. I mean, look at you already. At least I'll never end up like you.
Well, I'm off now, Mrs. Bridges.
Oh, back to Greenwich then, are you?
Back to Greenwich, yes, for the time being.
Oh, well, we'll be seeing you again soon, I expect.
I hope so. I do hope so, Mrs. B. I've done the dishes, so you'll have a nice clean kitchen in the morning.
I knew you'd do something like that. Oh, you're a good boy, Thomas, you are, really.
Oh, well, you're not a bad cook neither.
Oh.
Good night, Mrs. B.
Oh. Good night, my dear. Good night.
Good night, Rose. Rosie? What's the matter, love? Hey. Hey, what is it? That's not what happened at dinner, is it? We knew that was finished. We got other fish to fry.
It isn't that.
Well, what then?
After all our years together, all the things we've shared, to say such cruel things.
What things, love? Mrs. Kibbage, now what she said?
I can't repeat them.
Of course you can.
I can't. I can't.
Come on. You can tell Thomas.
Let me go.
Rose, she seemed a bit upset like. Well, it wasn't me, Mr. Hudson.
Good night, Mr. Watkins.
No, hang on.
Good night.
Come in. Oh, I'm glad it's you. Is Mother very upset?
Yes, rather. It's gone to her room. May I?
Yes, do. You want explanations?
Do you want to give them? Is it really in ruins, as you say? Ruins can be restored.
Not these ones.
Any special problem?
No.
Are you sure?
No, I told you. Lawrence doesn't want a wife, that's all.
But it was Lawrence who wanted to get married. You were the one for the bohemian life.
Yes, well, there you are.
He couldn't cope with the responsibility. Well, how about his friends, his fellow artists? How'd you get on with them? Did they accept?
I suppose so. But obviously I was always going to be judged in terms of what he produces, his poetry, what I inspired. I inspired nothing.
So he took his revenge on you?
No, not exactly. He didn't spend enough time with me for that.
We can't be said to be a negative influence, surely.
It's a nice debating point, Papa, but not in the House of Commons. Oh, Rose, run me a bath, would you?
Yes, madam.
Oh, and take this down to be mended. I seem to have caught it on something.
Does Lawrence know you've left home?
No, I don't think so.
What will you say when he finds out?
He'll be relieved. He's not very good at taking the initiative.
Darling, are you sure you haven't left in haste? Your mother feels, and I must say I find it hard to disagree with her, that you haven't really given it much time.
How much time do you need to know that you've made a mistake? I'm sorry, Papa. It's over.
No hope at all?
None.
Are you absolutely sure?
I'm absolutely sure.
Then we must get in touch with Dillon and put the matter in his hands.
Dillon?
Geoffrey Dillon, our solicitor. You want it ended legally, don't you?
Yes, but must we use him? He's so dry and chilly. James said that during his troubles he felt as if he was facing Judge Jeffreys.
I know how he felt. But Geoffrey Dillon is loyal and discreet and quite simply the best there is. I'll see him in the morning. Now, don't worry. And do try and understand your mother's feelings. They may seem a bit off the mark, but they're nonetheless real and they need careful handling from both of us.
Papa, thank you for treating me like a woman and not an hysterical child, even though I may be.
Oh, the poor girl. To have such a thing happen. She's only a baby.
Well, I guessed, of course. The minute I saw those frocks, I guessed it was no casual visit.
We'd all done our share of guessing, Miss Roberts. Even before the frocks.
Yes, well, now that we've all expressed our feelings, I think we should let the matter rest.
Well, it was you informed us, Mr. Hudson.
I informed you, Miss Roberts, to prevent you hearing it from other ears.
Rose has taken it badly. I passed her on the stairs just now, and she'd been crying.
I think you'll find that Rose's distress is related to quite another matter, Miss Roberts.
Oh? What's that, Miss Hudson?
Never you mind for the moment, Mrs. Bridges. In the meantime, I think we should all be on our guard.
Could you lend us a needle, please, Miss Roberts? Mrs. Burbage wants his mending. Thanks.
Well now, Mrs. Cabbage.
Must you call me that, Sir Geoffrey? It does sound a little hollow.
Elizabeth.
It's hardly being familiar. You've known all about me since the day I was born.
I regret that my knowledge of you is confined merely to a handful of facts. Your birth dates, when money was put into trust for you, things of that nature.
Well, doubtless you mean to change all that.
How do you mean?
Well, don't I have to use you as a kind of confessional? Tell you intimate details I wouldn't even tell my parents?
It is sometimes necessary to delve a little.
The law requires it. All right, let's get it over with.
Well, first we have to find grounds, since I take it that you're to be the petitioner.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
It's you who wish to terminate the marriage.
Oh, yes, I think so, if that is allowed.
It is in certain circumstances. It may be necessary to discuss matters with your husband.
He's in Shropshire visiting an aunt.
Has he deserted you?
In favour of his aunt? No. I'm sorry. I think I've deserted him.
A woman can divorce her husband only on the grounds of adultery coupled with desertion, or adultery coupled with cruelty.
You mean we choose one of those?
In effect, we decide on the relevant course.
Well, neither of those is relevant. What else have we got?
Well, there is, of course, the possibility of an annulment, grounds for which are, for example, impotence on the part of the husband. Might that be relevant? Think carefully, Elizabeth.
What exactly is impotence, legally speaking?
Thank you, Hudson. Is Sir Geoffrey Dillon here? He's in the morning room, sir, with Mrs. Curbridge.
Yeah.
They've been alone in conference together for some while now, sir. Her ladyship is up in her room awaiting the outcome.
Thank you, Hudson. You're saying, Elizabeth, that sexual intercourse has never taken place between you and your husband? You do understand the legal definition.
Yes.
You've encouraged him, you've shown yourself willing, but...
He seems to find the act repugnant. That's what he says. But how can he? I'm not repugnant to him. Not in our normal daily life, but when I lie beside him in bed and I reach out for him, he doesn't see.
Do you know if he's ever had a satisfactory relationship with a woman? I realize you may not be able to.
There was someone, yes.
An intimate relationship?
I always thought so.
But now you're not sure.
No.
Well, I think we may have the grounds.
You mean that's all we need?
It should be. A simple medical inspection.
Medical inspection of whom?
Of both of you. I'll speak to your mother. It needn't concern you.
But it does concern me. I'm to be examined.
Don't be alarmed, my dear. It's a formality. Now, shall we call your mother?
Oh, Rose, is Sir Geoffrey Dillon still in the morning room?
Yes, he's finished with Mrs. Curbridge on her own, and I just want to let Lady Marge and Mr. Bellamy.
I have no doubt a satisfactory conclusion is being reached.
Oh, what would you call a satisfactory conclusion?
An annulment, of course.
Does that mean them splitting up?
The marriage has failed, Rose.
How would you know? You don't even work there.
Rose.
Too many thinking people giving too many uninformed opinions.
Rose, you're forgetting yourself.
Am I?
If I may give you a little advice, my girl, forget it.
Forget who?
Oh, come on now, Rose. You can't fool me. I know you too well. You've got yourself emotionally involved with someone. It's unfortunate, but hardly surprising. Proximity is next to familiarity. But you're a sensible girl, Rose. It may be painful, but it's simply a question of attitude, of steeling yourself and seeking diversions. Perhaps you could take up a hobby.
I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Hudson.
Well, if nobody wants me anymore, I think I'll go and do my Christmas shopping.
Well, how was it, Geoffrey?
I do hope she was sensible.
Oh, yes, we've discovered the cause of the problem.
Which is?
Quite simply, the marriage is unconsummated.
What?
It's Lawrence who's the unwilling party, not Elizabeth.
Lawrence?
Good God. Well, what's the matter with the fellow?
Poor child.
We shouldn't have too much difficulty in arranging an annulment, but we do need proof of virginity. Either your own doctor, or if she'd prefer a more impersonal but sympathetic figure, may I suggest my friend Sir William Hanning, recently appointed to the royal household.
It's you.
Good evening, sir. Just hanging some of your suits up, sir? Shall I switch your light on?
No. She's gone, then.
Mrs. Curbridge has gone to stay with her parents, sir, in Eaton Place.
I know where they live. Thank you. Has Rose gone too?
Yes, sir.
And Mrs. Fellows?
Going to stay with the married daughter, sir. Waiting instructions. I can recall her.
No, don't do that. It's just you, then?
That's right, sir, just me. Will you be staying the night here, sir?
Yes. But I shan't be going to bed just yet. Do you want some champagne?
No, thank you, sir.
Why not?
Well, if you insist.
Oh, I don't insist. Have some if you want some. Don't if you don't. Well?
Oh, it's...
If I might have a word with you, my lady.
Yes, Miss Hudson. Yes, what is it, Hudson?
It's about Thomas, my lady. You may remember...
Yes, you expressed doubts about him.
Well, it seems I was misled, my lady.
Will you go abroad?
Well, I suppose I must, since Southwold money is to provide my steamship ticket. Not to mention my future bread and butter.
You'll be happier than you were at Greenwich.
Greenwich? Oh, yeah. Since I can't write poetry anymore, I've taken to flippant epitaphs. There's one for the plaque on our house. Lawrence Curbridge lived here in married state from 1908 to 1908. What do we tell my publisher? Oh, God, I loved you.
Congratulations, my dear boy. You like it here? I know
Oh,
you will.
sure I will, Mrs. Bridges.
Yes, we're all very friendly here.
I think Mr. Hudson ought to make a public apology to you.
Oh, no, it's all over now, Missy B.
You'll be able to get your hands on that Renault now, Thomas.
I'll be called Watkins now I'm a proper chauffeur.
Oh, you'll be asking them for a Rolls Royce to drive next.
Well, it's not a bad idea neither.
Thomas, you're wanted upstairs.
I am. What for?
You'd better come and find out, hadn't you?
But you can't take him! Damn it, he's mine! I won't allow it. My God, you've stripped me of everything else and now you want to take my man!
Darling, don't be hysterical.
Hysterical, my God, you... Thomas, thank God you're here. They're trying to take it from me, but I've told them that they can't, and he's pinched himself to me!
Lawrence, do stop using such emotional words and let's discuss the matter calmly. Come in, Thomas. All right, thank you, Hudson. Now, Thomas, has Hudson spoken to you about coming to work for us?
Yes, Mummy, he has.
But you haven't accepted. Now, Thomas, we agreed.
Agreed, sir.
Thomas, listen, I shall be going abroad soon, possibly for a long time. Now, I can take you with me, show you the world. Isn't that what you wanted? To give yourself more scope, isn't that what you once told me? Listen, Thomas, what good will it do you to stay here, huh? Where will that get you? Do you want to end up like Hudson? For God's sake, man, I'm offering you life and hope. Well,
I'm very grateful for your offer, sir. That's very tempting. But...
But? Yes, but what?
Well, it's always been an ambition of mine to work in a noble household, sir.
You choose servility.
No, sir, I don't choose it.
Go to the devil, Thomas.
I've been very happy working.
Go and roast in hell flames. I don't want sight nor sound of you again.
Thank you, Thomas. That'll be all.
For me, Miss Lizzie? Yes, Rose. An early Christmas present. No, I couldn't. Please, now, no arguments. I've been horrid to you these last few weeks, and I want to make it up. Thank you, Miss Lizzie.
I'm going to sleep now. I'm exhausted.
Good night, Miss Lizzie.
Night.
Oh, it's beautiful. Rose. You are a lucky girl.
Well, you'll have to look out that it's not pinched.
Who'll give you that? Not Mr. Watkins.
Oh, that creature couldn't afford a thing like that.
Mrs. Curbridge gave it to me.
Oh, so you've made it up then, Rose. I'm very glad to hear it.
Well, we'll be able to stop thinking of her as Mrs. Curbridge now.
I never have thought of her as anything but Miss Elizabeth.
Oh, those wretched carol singers again. We gave them some hickneys last night.
God is the King of Israel. Any room at the end?